Have you ever scrolled through your feed and felt a pang of something? A feeling that everyone else is living a bigger, better, shinier life. You see them succeeding, traveling, smiling, while you feel stuck, maybe even a little invisible. It's a heavy feeling, isn't it? This story is for anyone who's ever felt that way. There was once a young man who spent his days drowning in comparison. His life felt small, a pale shadow next to the vibrant lives he saw all around him. He felt lost, constantly measuring his own worth against others, and always coming up short. Desperate for an answer, he traveled to a remote monastery to seek the wisdom of an old monk who lived by the mountains. "Master," the young man said, his voice heavy with frustration, "I feel completely lost. Everyone seems to be so far ahead of me in life. How can I ever find peace when I'm always falling behind?" The old monk simply smiled. He didn't offer a grand lecture or a complicated philosophy. Instead, he calmly poured 2 cups of tea. He filled one cup right to the very brim, so full that another drop would cause it to spill. He filled the other cup only halfway. He pushed the cups towards the young man and said, "Look closely. The empty cup can still receive more. The one that's already full cannot." The young man stared at the cups, confused. The monk continued, "Your mind is like these cups. When you fill it to the brim with thoughts of what others are doing, with comparisons and envy, there is no space left for your own journey, your own growth." The young man lowered his head, the monk's simple words hitting him with surprising force. "But master," he asked, his voice now a whisper, "how do I stop? How do I stop looking at everyone else?" The monk led him to a small, quiet lake near the monastery. The water was perfectly still, like a sheet of dark glass. It reflected the vast blue sky and the fluffy white clouds with perfect, stunning clarity. The monk picked up a small pebble and tossed it into the water. Ripples spread across the surface, distorting the reflection into a blurry, chaotic mess. "Your mind is like this water," the monk explained. "When it is still, it reflects the truth of your own being perfectly. But when it is disturbed by the ripples of comparison, chasing the reflections of others, it can show you nothing clearly. You lose sight of yourself." The young man decided to stay at the monastery. He spent his days in quiet contemplation, meditating, observing the world around him, and listening not just with his ears, but with his whole being. He started to understand that peace wasn't some grand destination he had to race towards. It wasn't about achieving a perfect life free of flaws. It was about finding a quiet balance right in the middle of all his imperfections. He stopped looking for validation in the likes and comments of others. Instead, he started noticing the small, simple wonders he'd been blind to before. The gentle sound of the wind rustling through the trees, the comforting warmth of the sunlight on his skin, the steady, grounding rhythm of his own breath. Slowly, like the sun rising over the mountains, a profound realization dawned on him. The race he thought he was losing, it never even existed. Life wasn't a competition to see who could get ahead the fastest. It was about being present, truly present, in his own unique journey. On his final day, the monk shared one last piece of wisdom. You cannot walk forward on your own path while constantly looking over at another else, he said. The flower does not compete with the tall tree next to it for sunlight. It simply blooms in its own time, in its own way. For the first time in months, a genuine, unforced smile spread across the young man's face. He finally understood. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He didn't need to be anyone else. He just needed to be himself, to live his own life truthfully. Years later, he would often share his story, always ending with the same simple truth. The moment I stopped comparing myself to others was the moment I finally found my peace. So, if you're feeling the pressure to keep up, to measure up, take a breath, focus on yourself. Learn to accept your stumbles and embrace your unique qualities. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop chasing someone else's highlight reel. Be patient with your own process. Your path is unfolding exactly as it should. The world will keep running its frantic race. But you can choose to be still, You can choose peace. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more moments of reflection. Until next time, be kind to yourself.